From the tech in San Jose, I'm Mark Albertson, and welcome to not just another Tech Close-Up, this is our show number 12. We've been around a year already, 1 year of stories about the world's capital of technology and all those innovative minds who make this remarkable Silicon Valley tick. In this month's program, we'll meet Trip Hawkins, one of the pioneers of Silicon Valley. We'll find out what new technology he plans to bring to our cell phones. We'll go inside the exciting new world of biometrics, where purchasing power anywhere in the world is just a finger touch away. And Christina King shows us how just a little tech creativity can take us a long way. In the beginning, the cell phone was sort of an odd convenience, something we used when we were away from home or the office, or just to remind a family member what to bring home for dinner. But you know, it's evolved into a vital bridge to the internet and lots of other technologies, and probably nobody understands that better than one Silicon Valley pioneer named Trip Hawkins, whose new company, Digital Chocolate, is attracting a sweet amount of attention. Let's play Follow the Leader.
How's it going? We're rolling some B-roll here. Maybe make that on TV this way.
In the world of video games and computer graphics, you don't find a bigger or better leader than this man, named Trip Hawkins. Born with a computer bug, he worked his way into Apple, founded Electronic Arts, survived the dot-com crash, and now he's at it again. He now makes video games for cell phones under his new Bay Area firm called Digital Chocolate. A sweet idea that may generate huge profits and a whole new generation of video games. It's a real trip to be here, actually. That's what I mean. You come a long way through the dot-com era, the bust and everything, and look, here you are.
Yeah, well, this is a really fun new toy for me, and I'm having a great time developing new ideas and finding new ways to use it.
Well, you've come from Apple, you've come from several other major companies that have come through the history of the dot-com era. What got you here? What got you to putting games on phones?
You know, I'm realizing now that ever since I was a kid, I enjoyed playing games, but I've now recognized that the most important thing about that for me was the social contact, playing with other people. And I've pretty much figured out that the mobile phone is really the social computer. And everyone is using these devices, of course, for phone calls, but now they're adopting a lot of other applications that are really new ways to have social contact.
Yeah, psychiatrists might be saying you're corrupting society, you know. I'm beginning to wonder that one of these days somebody's going to start misdiagnosing paranoid schizophrenia because people are like talking to themselves. But with all the use of telephones, why do you think games are so applicable and so good for phones? What's in it for all of us?
Well, you know, it's not so much that it's about being a game. In fact, as a content platform, you know, this is a tiny little screen, and it's not the world's fastest network. It's not the best content platform. If you want to go to a movie, you see a much higher fidelity experience than what you get with a mobile phone.
Or a console game also.
Yeah, that's right. But what the mobile phone has going for it is that everybody has one, and they're always carrying it with them. So it's really the ultimate device for staying in touch. And people want to have a lot of other ways to stay in contact with people besides through a voice call. So you've seen that with the success of text messaging. In our case, what we want to do with games is to have the games be a jumping off point for people to play together and to have social contact.
The idea is simple. Lots of people can't live without cell phones anymore, so when they're not using the phone for work, they can play, not just alone, but against other players who belong to what's called the ML.
The ML stands for Mobile League, and that's a service that we offer with almost all of our games ranging from simple puzzle games like Bubble Ducky to more action-oriented games like Extreme Air Snowboarding and Racing Fever. So we have a variety of different kinds of games, word games, card games, Word Jong. That's a great game that kind of looks like Mahjong, but you're actually spelling words, or Word King Poker, where you're playing poker hands, but you're actually spelling words instead of traditional scoring. And all of those games tie into Mobile League so that the player can hit a button, and over the air, it'll send all of their scores to our server. And then it'll send back down to them a ranking showing them exactly how they're doing against all the other players. And we've really just taken that level of social community to the next step with MLSN Sports Picks, because the whole game is a network game. And you can set up a league with 5 of your friends and have your own little private league, or you can jump into open competitions to answer batches of tournament questions against anybody around the country, and then you get a national ranking in these different categories. So it's really almost like opening up that level of sports competition to a mass market.
This frontier demands a whole new approach. It's not like programming games for laptops or desktops. Digital Chocolate staffs top-notch designers and developers who build games for the tiny screens on cell phones. Tiny games with a big, captive audience.
We want to help people seize the minute. You know, in your busy lifestyle, you're away from your office, you're away from home quite a bit. You've got a lot of dead time. You're trying to get a lot done. You'd like to be able to help people use every minute to the fullest. And again, going back to the social contact, what's so compelling about this is that fairly recently in human history, everybody lived in a small village. You spent the whole day with your family members. You saw the same intimate friends every day. You had a perfect social life. In the modern world, you spend a lot of time in your car, in a city, in places where you're either isolated or you're surrounded by people you don't even know. So people are really turning to the mobile phone as a lifeline, a way to keep them in touch and keep them connected with a lot of people that they know. And the reason I call it a social computer is that they're starting to do that with text messaging. They're using forms of personalization for social identity, like changing their ringtone. And what we're doing here is we're just saying, hey, if we provide some light gameplay as a method for helping people essentially be in these digital clubs or virtual villages, it's going to enrich their social lives. And you have to do something in mobile lifestyle to accommodate, in a way, the fact that people lost that intimate village they used to have.
Where is the revenue source? Is it advertising, or do people have to buy the software?
It's a very simple and clean business model in that every consumer already has a relationship with their phone company, and they pay a monthly phone bill. So all of the additional things that they do with the handset can just get added to that bill. And they're generally quite a good value. I mean, normally what you find is that if you want to buy a ringtone or a game or join a club like this, we're talking about a few dollars. It's not a very big deal. And I think the meaning of it, I mean, MLSN is $2.99 a month. Well, that's only 10 cents a day. If you're getting any kind of value for entertainment and to share something with your friends, what's 10 cents a day? I mean, that's nothing compared to a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Those few bucks per user could add up. Some trade analysts project Digital Chocolate's cell phone games could generate a fortune. Some of the trade lines and trade columns I've read are projecting that we're talking about a $1.5, maybe $2 billion industry that will eclipse even ringtones. Now that's a really, really sizable projection. Is that pressure on you to perform?
I actually think it's going to be much larger than that, because if you look at all of the spending on mobile, today 99% of it is social. So if you look at social applications and what we make our social games, I think we're talking in the future tens of billions of dollars. I think it's going to be a huge market. In fact, I think this is evidence that the major era of computing technology that we're in right now is really the social computing era. That this is the era, and everyone's going to look back on it and someday say, oh yeah, that was the era of the social computer where soccer moms started doing email at home, and when instant messaging started happening, and when social communities on the internet blossomed for the first time, and when mobile phones became the social computer. I really think that's the era that we're in. So there's an incredibly bright future for all these new kinds of social applications. Today you only see the tip of the iceberg. You see the early success of mobile email. You see the early success of instant messaging. You see innovative new applications like MLSN, but this is really still in the very early stages of it. Purely as a gaming platform, this will always be the little brother gaming platform compared to the platforms like the PlayStation and the broadband internet. But again, it's ubiquitous. Everybody has one. It's a huge market for that reason. Everybody always has them with them, and because of that, the contact you can have with other people is very compelling.
Digital chocolate won't end desktop games or home video games, but it may redefine how the phone connects us to business, to family, and to each other.
We named the company Digital Chocolate because we wanted to have people feel like, hey, you're out there somewhere, but you got your mobile phone with you, and you deserve a break, and you deserve to have a moment of instant gratification. And that's the concept of digital chocolate, because everybody always feels like they're getting away with something when they have some chocolate.
There's no caffeine, though.
That's right. Hopefully this is 0 calorie and all of that. So I think, as far as Silicon Valley goes, we see a big trend with more and more companies, more and more people jumping on the mobile bandwagon, and there's clearly going to be a big industry in the Bay Area supporting a lot of these new mobile businesses.
Well, it is a thrill, and again, it's a trip to be with Trip Hawkins. Thank you very much for joining us, and I don't know, tech close-up and cell phones are never going to be the same now that we've seen this, but thanks for joining us on Tech Close-up.
It's a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Now, there's a face that a mother could love. Nothing like an infrared image, huh? Modern technology allows us to change a lot of things, but one thing we can't change is our fingerprints. That's why a lot of companies are working on ways in which we can use our own bodies as sort of the ultimate pass key. It's a pretty exciting field called biometrics. So we met with folks at Pay by Touch in San Francisco, where we found out how consumers are taking some matters literally into their own hands.
Please scan your finger now.
Touch today.
Coming to a store or a supermarket near you.
Our view of the world is that in a few years, biometrics will permeate our lives.
No more plastic, no more debit or store cards. San Francisco's Pay by Touch banks on biometric technology that lets you pay with your finger.
Using biometrics, the person is identified only as themselves. There are no two fingerprints that are alike. There are no irises that are alike.
John Rogers, the Pay by Touch CEO. He foresees touch technology everywhere. In fact, it's how he gets into his company's door.
If you think back 7, 8 years ago, very few of us used email, or 10 years ago. Everybody uses email now. Biometrics will soon start to permeate many areas of our lives, and we're helping commercialize that to a large extent.
In stores in the Midwest and on the East Coast, Pay by Touch speeds the checkout line. The technology works just like a scanner that reads debit or credit cards, but it's modified to read marks on the finger. The technology relies on military-level security. Scanners mark points around fingerprints, then they encrypt those points into a long mathematical code.
So essentially, you are a 300-digit long number in our secure IBM data center, and you cannot take that number and reverse it into a fingerprint.
Shannon Reardon trains workers on touch technology. It starts with kiosks in stores where customers enroll their cards, IDs, and even checking accounts.
Once you have your the accounts you want to enroll, you just use this section here. You swipe your debit card, your credit card, or whatever accounts you want to enroll. If your driver's license has a mag stripe, you put it right through there and it reads it automatically.
A central IBM computer system stores encrypted accounts along with the customer's coded fingerprint.
First thing you do is place your finger on the sensor. Then you're going to enter a search code, which is usually your phone number. I'm recognized by name. You'll see it says, "Hello, Shannon Reardon." And then I'm presented with the financial accounts that are in my wallet. I scroll through and get to the one that I want. The final amount is presented to me. I approve it, and I'm on my way.
So you walk out the door, you forget your wallet, doesn't make any difference anymore.
Absolutely not. It's a wallet-free world. It eliminates the fumble factor, and the line goes a lot faster.
Good morning.
And Pay by Touch wants it even faster. New scan stations greet customers as they come in the door. They even spit out custom coupons.
Thank you. Your smart savings are being retrieved now.
And it's given to me right as I walk in the store. I don't need to carry coupons around in my wallet. to get my discounts. I don't need to have a loyalty card to get my discounts.
And not just shoppers like to buy by finger. Investors helped Pay by Touch buy up some credit card processors that were plagued by security gaps. Gaps that touch technology may close up.
We're adding our biometric level of security across that merchant base, so we're excited about them as a distribution channel as well as a fast-growing processor. The advantage to the retailer is they will know, they can know who you are, what you like to buy, and give you specialized offers right at that time.
And it's more than retail. Rogers expects hospitals to admit patients by touch instead of paper. Airports may screen fingers or the retina in the eye. And gamblers may feed slot machines by fingertip. But then there's the ultimate irony that maybe someday touch retail might even reach the capital of technology.
Silicon Valley, which is the capital of technology, has been slower to adopt the new biometric technology. And in fact, we're finding great receptivity in the Midwest, in the South. We've been in Texas, we've been in New York, and we'll soon be in the Bay Area as well.
So, ready or not, pretty soon, you may just let your fingers do the shopping.
You can explain it to somebody, but it's not until you see somebody actually just put their finger down and lift it up and walk away, and they're a little bit stunned the first time, and from that moment, they're hooked.
That was great. That was easy. Thank you.
For some folks, saving for the future is easy, but for you, it might take a little more effort. Saving for your future is your responsibility, and there's a lot to save for.
I never thought of that.
Like your child's education, perhaps uncovered medical expenses, or just to be sure you can live the way you want when you retire. The time is now to save for tomorrow. Save now or work forever. The choice is yours. Choose to save.
You know, there's so much innovation here in the U.S. that it's sometimes easy to forget that researchers develop technologies all around the world. Well, that's why folks here at the Tech hold an annual awards event that celebrates those innovators and their technologies that sometimes may just surprise you. Here's Christina King.
Not far beneath the sea's surface, a strange-looking man-made reef is laid to rest on the ocean floor. It's one of millions of so-called reef balls being used to replace the real thing destroyed by Mother Nature and man. These new homes for marine life were created to protect our marine ecosystems, and they got their start in an unusual way.
It all started actually when I was a management consultant, and I used to travel to the Cayman Islands every year and take pictures of a coral reef that was growing slowly over time. And a hurricane came and wiped my little reef out, so I couldn't measure how fast they were growing anymore. And so I just came up with a crazy idea of taking a beach ball and putting some concrete around it and floating it out and puncturing the beach ball and starting a little reef.
Todd Barber and his nonprofit Reef Ball Foundation is one of 25 organizations honored by the Tech Museum of Innovation in San Jose, California. The awards program recognizes people, companies, or organizations around the world that use technology to solve global challenges. The museum honors innovators in the categories of education, equality, environment, economic development, and health. All of the laureates showcased in one setting.
It's like the international tech marketplace right here in the Silicon Valley. The coolest thing about the Tech Awards is they bring together companies, for-profit and non-profit, as well as individuals who are solving real worldwide problems, and they're using technology to do it.
These people that are doing these kinds of inventions around the world have very little resources, very little money, but they're addressing some very basic needs. Getting pure water for, very inexpensively to remote areas, figuring out ways to cure diseases inexpensively, ways to bring information to people inexpensively. It's just exciting to see what people do.
People like Dr. Harish Hande, who started a solar service company in rural India 11 years ago. He brought affordable electricity to places that had never before had it.
What are the benefits? They've had better education, so children don't need to study anymore under kerosene lights. Better lighting for cooking and dining and other income-generating activities. increased their income because previously they used to either have no lights, no working hours during the night, and so now they have increased working hours in the evening.
The Tech Awards go beyond recognition. They bring important attention to worldwide and worthwhile products and programs that need money to keep developing.
The Global Gaming Foundation is dedicated to providing a platform for social entrepreneurs to get access to philanthropic capital. And in order to do that, we reach out to donors through companies and other organizations to give directly to these amazing social entrepreneurs that are here today.
And some of the entrepreneurs here today benefit from unlikely partnerships.
This is one of those areas where companies that might be in a competitive space against one another, organizations that traditionally don't work with companies, are all about a common mission. And so you look at the set of partnerships that's grown. Now the United Nations, the UNDP, and other parts of the United Nations are involved, the World Bank Institute, Ashoka, and other programs that have global reach are all working together to identify the best applications that should earn more support because their programs really are scalable. And companies like Applied and Intel and others are all behind these programs.
Another benefit of hosting the Worldwide Tech Awards.
It really is something that reflects well on Silicon Valley to be hosting something like this. Here we are in the capital of innovation, being able to recognize innovators from around the world, I think is really a great role for us in the Valley to have.
With the help of Santa Clara University, which helps select the award laureates, we learn the recipients are doing things we can use in our own communities. Award laureate Anthrotronics helps learning disabled children understand the world around them with the help of computers.
About 13% of kids have some sort of disability, and most of those kids are integrated into an inclusive classroom. So we really wanted to develop accessible and interactive software for the inclusive classroom. And part of that included developing an accessible interface that includes a microphone and 4 pressure-sensitive buttons and the ability to be switch compatible.
Not all of the honorees were first-timers. For one of the award recipients, returning to the museum offered an opportunity to show how she used her award money to make one idea a reality and changed thousands of lives.
We applied to the Tech Museum in 2001, and we won the $50,000, which gave us our seed money. And we were immediately able to start the research and development process, where we went into the field and we spoke to children who lived on their own and asked them what would be the perfect radio, what would be your idea of the radio of your dreams, so to speak, and they gave us wonderful feedback.
Kristen Pearson can now show us that radio. Her nonprofit foundation is connecting those sub-Saharan African children living on their own with the rest of the world using this incredibly durable radio. It's powered for up to 8 hours by crank or solar rays. Pearson not only won in 2001, her organization received the recent 2005 James C. Morgan Global Humanitarian Award from the Tech Museum.
I don't think we can underestimate the importance of having a sustainable access to information. People live in rural areas, feel very isolated, and they often say the voice they trust is the voice on the radio. And there's a lot of terrific programming that's available, but it doesn't do anybody any good if they can't hear it.
Hearing and learning. That's the goal of another Tech Award laureate, a nonprofit product design company focused on the important need to teach people in rural and developing countries how to read.
The problem that we're trying to solve relates to adult literacy. So 1 in 5 adults worldwide, over 1 billion people, don't know how to read. And in developing countries like Mali, it's as many as 80% of adults don't know how to read. Because they're adults, they take classes at night in rural villages without electricity. And because they're in these developing countries, they don't have access to books. So this tool is designed to solve 2 problems, books and lighting.
With an LED screen and a cheap projection system built out of parts from Fisher-Price toys, they can project an image from microfilm cassettes. These pictures show how people from the far reaches of the world are learning how to read during the formerly unproductive hours of the evening. It's all about innovation and inspiration.
The Tech Museum is a place people can come learn about technology. Hopefully the next Nobel Prize winner someday, 20 years from now, could say they were inspired by what they saw at the Tech Museum.
Waves of change, one new idea at a time. Technology continues to make our communities and our world a better place to live. For Tech Closeup, I'm Christina King.
Well, we've always got an appetite for new science and technology, and that's why we created Tech Bites, and that's why Tony Santos from the Tech Museums joined us here. And now this is interesting. Now, I remember Mr. Potato Head as a kid, but this is something unique. What's going on?
Yeah, this is a new take on Mr. Potato Head. We're in the Silicon Workshop exhibit, and the idea is to take on the role of a microchip designer and understand what it means to do that job, and then maybe kids want to try their hand at it for real someday. We have it presented in a really abstract way with these building blocks. Kids have the experience of building a logic statement, which is similar to what a microchip designer does in their work. But here we've done it with Mr. Potato Head and these sort of simple statements and building blocks.
Light, sound.
Right, so basically we'll build a logical statement that says, in this case, if Mr. Potato Head senses light, and you'll see it builds on the screen with us, or sound, then he will talk, for example. So what we've done in this exhibit is that once this statement's built, we're hitting send program, and literally the chip that's embedded in Mr. Potato Head's head is being programmed right now to understand this logic statement. And now that it's built, if he senses again either light or sound,
good gravy,
he'll tell us a little something.
Be mashed.
Now, we don't know if he tastes good.
We don't know that much.
But what's interesting, it's a sentence.
Exactly.
Well,
so again, it's the process that a microchip designer would go through in their work in an abstract form, and we've done it in a really simple, English sentence. Well, actually, I should say English or Spanish, because you'll see on the screen, this exhibit's bilingual. But yeah, it's presenting this concept in a way that kids will understand with a simple English sentence.
And what do kids get out of this? Do they understand something about
Yeah, absolutely. They understand, that a toy, you might, maybe someday, Hasbro, I think, who does Mr. Potato Head, will sell microchip-enabled talking Mr. Potato Heads, and then they'd understand that sort of all these fun toys and these smart devices are sort of powered by microchips. That's where it starts.
Well, do kids derive any logic out of this?
Yeah, absolutely, right? This is a really fun exhibit. I think kids are really getting a lot out of this.
Do the parents get out of it?
Oh, very much so, yeah. Yeah, kids might spend 30 seconds here and then run off, and then you'll see the parents sort of lingering. And
they're the ones who really need the logic.
Absolutely, right?
Okay.
That's what kids would agree, yeah.
Tony, thanks for joining us. Mr. Potato Head, thanks.
Oh, that was fun.
We're closing in on a significant milestone for Tech Closeup. Next month marks our 1-year anniversary, and to celebrate, we're planning a special edition where we'll look back on some of the people and their innovative technologies that help us tell the story about the one and only Silicon Valley. Now, of course, you can always view clips of past programs and get our broadcast times and the channels that carry us on our website, techcloseup.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Levinson. And remember, if you want to stay close to the technologies that drive this incredible Silicon Valley, well then join us next time for a special anniversary edition of Tech Closeup.